Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Indian equities spent most of the session in the red on the back of weak global cues and the absence of any definitive domestic triggers. The Nifty and the sensex end over 0.5% lower, near the low point of the day. The rupee ends stronger despite imported-driven dollar demand, presumably on RBI support. SBI beats the street in Q2. A 4,600 crore rupee gain from Yes Bank stake sale boosts the bottom line. Asset quality and net interest margins also improve. SBI's credit growth is better than the industry average. Auto major M&M cruises into the second quarter, reports an operationally strong quarter with headline numbers growing in double digits. Market share in SUVs, light commercial vehicles and tractors also improves. More relief for VodafoneIdea, this time from the taxman. The Supreme Court allows the IT department to withdraw an 8,500 crore rupee transfer pricing case that dates back to FY08. The relief comes a day after the apex court said the government was free to consider offering the company relief on its overall AGR dues. Tech giants race to expand AI and data infrastructure as demand outstrips capacity. ChatGPT maker OpenAI signs a $38 billion cloud compute deal with Amazon Web Services, pivots away from Microsoft, which was the company's exclusive provider till earlier this year. The deal will give OpenAI access to Nvidia's graphic processing units. Amazon closes the day at a record high. Chipmaker Nvidia hogs the spotlight as the AI race gets hotter. Microsoft signs a $9.7 billion deal with data center operator IREN to gain access to Nvidia Chips. Cloud computing startup Lambda announces a multi-billion-dollar deal to build AI infrastructure powered by Nvidia Chips. The National Companies Law Appellate Tribunal allows WhatsApp to share user data with parent Meta and its subsidiaries for advertising purposes, sets aside a Competition Commission order that had barred the flow of data, also sets aside a CCI order that held WhatsApp's 2021 privacy policy as unfair. Marquee investors flood Grove's anchor book as the stockbroking firm kickstarts its 6,600 crore rupee IPO. The retail category fully subscribed on day one. Meanwhile, Lenskart's IPO subscribed over 28 times and there's still an hour to go. Western nations' economic actions against Russia boost energy giants' quarterly earnings. The world's largest oil company, Saudi Aramco's profit beats estimates as production increase offsets the impacts of lower prices. British oil giant BP also sees stronger than expected quarter, announces a $750 million share buyback. Political parties make a final pitch as campaigning for phase one of the Bihar elections comes to an end. Polling will take place across 121 constituencies on Thursday. The remaining 122 seats will go to the polls on the 11th of November. Voters in New York set to pick their new mayor later today. U.S. President Trump endorses outgoing Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's running as an independent, threatens to cut funding if Zohran Mamdani wins the election. Mamdani is running on a Democratic Party ticket, is currently leading in the opinion polls. Well, let's start with the day's market action. The Wall Street ended in the red with the Nifty closing below the 25,600 mark. All sectoral indices closed in the red, barring the Consumer Durable Index. That's the story for you, down 0.5% for both the Sensex and the Nifty. The mid-cap index also down 250 points and 270 points lower. That's the Nifty mid-cap for you. Meanwhile, the rupee strengthened today after 3 straight days of losses. This on likely intervention by the Reserve Bank amidst an uptick in the dollar. However, the currency slipped slightly before closing on importer-driven demand for the dollar. But let's talk about the big earnings today. State Bank of India reporting a strong set of numbers for the second quarter, beating estimates on all parameters. Asset quality is also improved on a sequential basis. Ritu standing by now to take us through SBI's second quarter performance. Ritu.
Well, a good set of numbers from SBI. It was a beat across the board, like you said, better than expected improvement in asset quality. Margins improvement, that was a pleasant surprise. Profits saw a near 10% rise, but this was aided by an exceptional gain, about 4,593 crores from Yes Bank stake sale in the quarter and another 25 crores from Jio Payments Bank stake sale. But the operating profit, that saw a decline of about 6.8% on the back of higher provisions. Now, provisions for the quarter rose about 20% over the previous year to about 5,400 crores, but overall loan loss provisions had come down sequentially. On the core performance, the net interest income saw about a 3.3% growth, led by advances. Advances, they were above the industry average, coming in at about 13.1% year-on-year and growing by about 4% sequentially, within which retail loans saw a strong growth, about 15.1%. But corporate advances for SBI remains low. It is in single digits, even for this quarter at 7.1% over the previous year. But that said, the bank has raised the full-year credit growth guidance to 12 to 14%, and it does expect the corporate book to pick up and get to double-digit growth in the second half of the year. Deposits was also healthy growth, about 9.3% year-on-year. On margins, there was a sequential improvement against expectations of a slight decline, and the management expects to hold it at the current levels with a bit of an improvement in the second half. On the asset quality front, though, there was a significant improvement. The gross NPA ratio improved to about 1.73%. Net NPA ratio also to about 0.42%. Fresh slippages dropped by 40% sequentially to about 4,754 crore rupees. And overall, it was a strong quarter. Profits boost from the one-off gains, of course, but the underlying performance was positive. Better asset quality, increased credit growth guidance. No surprise then that the SBI stock ended the day higher.
We are putting the credit growth estimate at 12 to 14% now. We believe that there will be sustained consumption demand, which gives an opportunity for us, particularly in the RAM segment. There could be continuous robust growth, what we have witnessed, double-digit growth. So we are revising our credit guidance to 12 to 14%.
Well, that is State Bank of India. Strong numbers, revising their credit growth guidance to 12 to 14%. And speaking of strong numbers, shares of automaker M&M also surged after the company's strong second quarter performance, ahead of estimates on most fronts. Net profit rose nearly 18%, while margins, which stood at 14.5%, expanded ahead of streets estimates. Sudarshan is standing by. Strong quarter there for M&M, Sud.
It's an operationally strong set of earnings from Mahindra & Mahindra for Q2 FY26, and the biggest positive surprise was the improvement that company has seen in the margin, and also on the market share front, it continues to gain. And in LCV, it has gained market share of almost 100 basis points. In SUVs, the gain is of almost 400 basis points, and in tractor also, it has gained almost 50 basis points. Talking about the headline numbers, profit has increased by 18%, and revenue, as per the expectations also, we were expecting an increase of in the range of 20 to 23%. Company has reported an increase of 21%. EBITDA has seen a jump of 23%, and margin surprisingly has come in above 14%. It has come at 14.5%, an expansion of 20 basis points. And we were expecting a fall and come in the range of 13.8 to 13.9%. And this was led by healthy improvement that company has seen in the tractor segment. On the volume front also, YOY tractor segment volumes were up almost 32%. Even the auto segment volumes were sharply higher YOY. Now talking segment-wise, in the auto, revenue was up 18%, EBIT has increased by 14%, and due to GST transition, there was a slight dip in the margin. It has come at 9.1% versus 9.5%. But here also positive part was that realization has improved by 4% versus expectation of a fall in the range of 1 to 2%. Talking about the tractor segment, revenue has increased by 23%, EBIT has jumped by 48%, and margin has come in sharply higher. It has come at 20% versus 16%, while realization here was down 7%. In the commentary, the focus will be what exactly company talks about FY26 outlook and the new launches, and also what's the strategy to meet CAFE 3 emission norms. But as far as the earnings are concerned, it's a very strong set by Mahindra & Mahindra for Q2 of FY26.
All right, many thanks, Sud, for joining us. That's M&M for you. Strong performance coming in. And staying with earnings, global earnings, British oil giant BP reporting a strong set of numbers in Q3. The company attributed progress on disinvestment and cost-cutting as the reasons. It's also announced a share buyback of another $750 million over the next 3 months. And Saudi Aramco posting a strong performance in Q3. The world's largest oil company has been increasing production as part of the oil lobby OPEC Plus's policy. This has helped mitigate the impact of the lower crude prices. The production capacity growth target has also been revised upwards from 60% to about 80% over the 2021 production levels. While relief coming in for VodafoneIdea in one of its longest-running tax battles, the Supreme Court has allowed the Income Tax Department to withdraw its long-pending 8,500 crore rupee transfer pricing case against VodafoneIdea. Timsy joins us now with more details. Timsy, finally heading to closure as far as this transfer pricing matter is concerned?
Well, yes, the Income Tax Department on 3rd of November moved the Apex Court to withdraw its long-pending 8,500 crore rupees transfer pricing case against VodafoneIdea services. The Commissioner of Income Tax filed the withdrawal plea before a Supreme Court bench led by Chief Justice B.R. The court allowed the withdrawal. Formal order is expected soon, but meanwhile, just a backdrop to what was this matter. Well, the case pertains to a transfer pricing order in connection with sale of VodafoneIdea's Ahmedabad-based call center business to Hutchinson Wapmau Properties India as part of internal restructuring in FY8 and assignment of call options to Vodafone International Holdings BV. Income Tax Department had in April 2016 challenged the Bombay High Court's order, which was then the October 2015 judgment that favored VodafoneIdea Services, the Indian arm of Vodafone Group PLC, in a 8,500 crore transfer pricing tax dispute. The case remained pending since 2017 without any hearing in the Apex Court. The High Court on October 8, 2015 had overruled the order by the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, that is ITAT, issued in 2014 that the Income Tax Department has the jurisdiction in the transfer pricing tax case involving the sale of Vodafone's call center business to Hutchinson Wapmau Properties and assignment of call options to Vodafone International Holdings BV in 2007 and 2008. VodafoneIdea Services had challenged the jurisdiction of the tax department, had sought to add 8,500 crore rupees to its taxable income in financial year 2007-2008. In 2013, the tax department claimed a tax of 3,700 crore rupees from VodafoneIdea in this case. So now, formally, the order is expected, but yes, the court has allowed withdrawal of this application.
Well, relief coming in there for Vodafone. Many thanks, Timsy, for joining us. Shares of Indus Towers gained after its promoter Bharti Airtel received the approval to increase stake in the company. Bharti Airtel said that a special committee of directors approved the acquisition of up to 5% additional stake in the tower infrastructure provider. The telecom major could increase its stake in Indus Towers in one or more tranches. In IPO corner, the retail portion of Grow's 6,600 crore rupee IPO has been fully subscribed on the first day itself. As of 4 p.m, total subscriptions stood at around 50%. Ahead of the IPO, the stockbroking firm raised nearly 3,000 crore rupees from anchor investors. It's the final day of bidding for Lenskart's 7,300 crore rupee IPO. As of 4 p.m, the company witnessed overall subscription booked over 28 times. This was led by non-institutional investors, and this was followed by the retail portion. The IPO comprises a fresh issue at 2,150 crores and an offer for sale of 12.75 crore equity shares. Coffee giant Starbucks has announced a joint venture with Chinese PE firm Boyu Capital to run its operations in China. Now, according to the deal terms, the firm will hold 60% stake and Starbucks will hold the remaining 40% stake in the JV. The deal is valued at $4 billion, with Starbucks owning the intellectual property and licensing. This comes after Starbucks China sales increased just 2% in the fourth quarter, continuing the trend of a weak performance in the regions, with Starbucks inking a JV in China. It's a big win for Meta in India. The National Law Company Appellate Tribunal has set aside the Competition Commission's order barring WhatsApp from sharing user data with Meta for advertising purposes. Ashmit joins us now to explain the details. Ashmit, what does this mean for WhatsApp in India, and what have been the grounds for this order?
Well, big win coming in for WhatsApp as well as its parent company Meta. The NCLAT, the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, granting them the relief by staying the portion of the CCI order which had gone against and which had barred WhatsApp from sharing user data with its parent company Meta or Meta's subsidiaries. Now, it all goes back to the 2021 privacy policy. This privacy policy, at the time of introduction, WhatsApp had said that either you come on board with this policy or discontinue using WhatsApp as a service, as a messaging service. Now, this is what invited the attention of the competition watchdog, CCI, taking suo motu cognizance, and subsequently in November of 2024, they passed a pointed order saying that this take it or leave it approach by WhatsApp is something that is violative of the competition law. This is impermissible. This is abuse of dominant position in the market, and therefore they had gone ahead, and there were two important components to that order: a penalty of 213 crore rupees, the other was a bar on WhatsApp from sharing user data for advertisement purposes. Now that is the part of the direction that has now been stayed by the NCLAT. The NCLAT very clearly saying that this part of the CCI order is not tenable, will not be permitted going forward, and therefore now there is no bar. WhatsApp is at liberty to share user data with its parent Meta as well as its subsidiaries for advertisement purposes. As far as the penalty is concerned, the penalty is likely to continue. 213 crore rupees due to be paid by Meta as well as by WhatsApp. What we now need to watch for is whether the competition watchdog will appeal this direction, this order by the NCLAT before the apex court.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. Now, Hyundai Motor India has launched its second-generation SUV. It's called Venue. The new avatar of the car comes with design, technology and safety upgrades. The introductory price starts at 7.8 lakh rupees. Speaking with CNBC-TV18, Tarun Garg, the MD and CEO designate of Hyundai Motor India, said the Venue remains the second biggest volume driver for the company. He also said that rural demand for SUVs has touched an all-time high for Hyundai.
This fiscal first 6 months were kind of muted 0% types. I believe now we can come back to the 5% level which we are used to. So I think in the short to mid term, a 5% growth is what we are really anticipating. Rural is at an all-time high. Rural is now contributing about 24% to overall sales. It used to be about 19% 5 years back. Very clearly, rural customers have come out in big numbers during this festival as well. The other trend, which is again on the uprise, is that rural customers are asking for more and more SUVs. In fact, for the first time, I saw that rural SUV contribution actually surpassed the urban SUV contribution.
Well, that's Hyundai. Time for a short break, but up next, tech giants race to expand AI and data infrastructure as demand outstrips capacity. A special coming up. There is some relief in store for air travellers. India's aviation regulators proposed a sweeping overhaul of airline ticket refund rules. The new draft seeks to make refunds easier, faster and more transparent, while giving passengers more flexibility to cancel or amend their bookings. Let's go across to Madiha for the details. Madiha, what do these draft rules say?
Well, the DGCA has come out with draft rules, as you mentioned. They are the civil aviation requirement that proposes several passenger-friendly changes to how refunds and cancellations are handled going ahead. Let's break down what is being proposed by the DGCA. Passengers may soon get a 48-hour lock-in period after booking a ticket. That means within those 48 hours, you can cancel or amend your booking without paying any additional charge. Apart from any fare difference for a new flight, however, this facility won't apply if the flight is departing within 5 days for domestic flights or 15 days for international journeys. In another major move, the DGCA has said that in cases where tickets are booked through travel agents or online portals, the onus of refund will lie with the airline. Airlines will have to complete the refund process within 21 working days. Then the regulator has also proposed that airlines cannot charge extra for correcting a passenger's name as long as the mistake is reported within 24 hours of booking the ticket when the booking is made directly through the airline website. And in case a passenger cancels a flight due to medical emergency, airlines may either refund the fare or offer a full credit shell for future travel. Now, these proposals come amid increasing complaints over refund delays and complicated cancellation policies across airlines. The DGCA says it is aiming to bring transparency and uniformity across airlines in how refunds are handled. The regulator has invited public and stakeholder comments till 30th November, after which the final norms will be notified.
All right, Madiha, many thanks for joining us. Many consumers will be interested in what finally transpires. Well, speaking of aviation, IndiGo's numbers flashing on your screens, revenue up 9% year-on-year. There is a significantly higher forex loss this quarter for IndiGo, as well as a higher tax expense as well. But more aviation news. SpiceJet has appointed former IndiGo executive Sanjay Kumar as the executive director. The airline said that Kumar, who took over yesterday, will report directly to SpiceJet's chairman and managing director Ajay Singh. He has held senior leadership roles at IndiGo and AirAsia India for over 10 years. Tech giants are racing to expand AI and data infrastructure's demand outstrips capacity. OpenAI has signed a $38 billion deal to buy cloud services from Amazon Web Services over the next 7 years. As part of the deal, OpenAI will be able to use Amazon's data centers, which are powered by Nvidia's chips. Rachna standing by to take us through the details. Rachna, OpenAI not reliant only on Microsoft anymore.
That's right. From custom chips with AMD and Broadcom to GPU alliances with Nvidia, cloud scaling through Amazon, Microsoft and Google, and data center expansion with Oracle, OpenAI is constructing an entire ecosystem it once relied on others for. OpenAI's new partnerships follow a restructuring of its long-standing deal with Microsoft. The two renewed their agreement, keeping Azure as the main platform for OpenAI's deployments, but removed the exclusivity clause that had tied the firm to Microsoft alone. It has since added Google Cloud and expanded its pact with CoreWeave that valued at up to $6.5 billion. Together, these deals ensure OpenAI now runs across 4 major global cloud networks. On the hardware front, OpenAI is pushing deeper into chips. With AMD, it has signed a multi-year agreement covering up to 6 gigawatts of Instinct GPUs, along with warrants for up to 10% of AMD stock. AMD calls OpenAI an early design partner on its next-gen MI450 chips. At the same time, OpenAI is strengthening its ties with Nvidia. The two have agreed on global rollout of 10 gigawatts of Nvidia systems, backed by up to $100 billion in phased investment. The first systems go live in 2026 on Nvidia's new Vera Rubin platform. Alongside these alliances, OpenAI is working with Broadcom to build its custom AI accelerators and networking systems that will deliver another 10 gigawatts of capacity by the end of this decade. And at the infrastructure layer, there's Project Stargate, which is taking shape. Partnering with Oracle, OpenAI is building 4.5 gigawatts of new data center capacity in the US as a part of the global expansion, worth around $300 billion over 5 years. This includes a major hub also in the UAE. For the first time, OpenAI will not just rent, compute, but own the infrastructure behind its models together. These deals mark a major strategic shift because OpenAI is no longer dependent on a single provider. It is building a vertically integrated AI powerhouse that spans chips, cloud, and data centers, securing every layer of its growth. So the AI race is no longer just about smarter models. It's about who controls the compute that powers them, and OpenAI is making sure that power from silicon to server is firmly in its own hands.
All right, Rachna, many thanks for joining us. Now, Microsoft is also boosting its AI capacity. It signed a $9.7 billion deal with data center operator IREN to gain access to Nvidia's chips. It secured export licenses to ship Nvidia's chips to UAE. The tech giant said it is the first company under President Trump's administration to secure such licenses. In international news, Israel has released 3 Palestinian prisoners as part of the ceasefire deal. Reports suggest there has been a surge in Israeli army activity across Gaza. However, this has largely taken place beyond the yellow line in areas under Israeli control. The Turkish foreign minister said that the regional nations are still working on a United Nations mandate for an international stabilization force in Gaza. Russia said its forces carried out heavy overnight strikes on a Ukrainian military airfield, other military installations and gas infrastructure facilities that supported them. Moscow also said its troops advanced into eastern Ukrainian city that has been trying to be captured for over a year. However, Ukraine maintained that Russian troops had not made gains in the past day. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military said it hit an oil refinery and military logistical facilities in Russia. China's President Xi Jinping met Russia's Prime Minister in Beijing and called for an expansion of mutual investment. He also affirmed Beijing's commitment to advance ties despite what he called turbulent external conditions. Meanwhile, Russia said, and I quote, both countries agreed to strengthen cooperation and respond appropriately to external challenges. New Yorkers head to the polls today to pick their new mayor as a frenetic 5-month general election campaign draws to a close. The 3 candidates for the mayor toured the suburbs of the state in the final hours of campaigning, delivering closing messages after a record-setting early voting period. Most polls show the Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani with the clear lead over former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. However, Cuomo, who is running as an independent after losing in the Democratic primary, has won an endorsement from President Trump. In a social media post, Trump said voters have no choice but to vote for Cuomo. Mamdani, who has called Cuomo a puppet of President Trump, questioned the timing of the president's last-minute endorsement. Back home, campaigning for the first phase of elections for the Bihar Assembly elections ends today. A total of 121 constituencies will go to vote on the 6th of November. Prime Minister Modi interacted with women workers of the BJP-led NDA in Bihar. Home Minister Amit Shah addressed a rally in Darbhanga and promised that 3.6 crore people would receive free health cover up to 5 lakh rupees. He also added that the proposed IT park in Darbhanga will create jobs for the youth. Other NDA leaders, including BJP President JP Nadda, Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, UP CM Adityanath and Delhi CM Rekha Gupta also held rallies across the state. India Bloc's chief ministerial candidate, RJD leader Tejasvi Yadav, also made a last-ditch effort to woo voters. He promised 30,000 rupees in financial aid for women and higher minimum support price for paddy and wheat. Meanwhile, during a rally in Kutum, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi accused the Prime Minister of distracting the youth with social media addiction. Chairman of the Hinduja Group, Gopi Chand Hinduja, has died at a hospital in London at the age of 85. Known as GP in business circles, he joined the family business in 1950 and is credited with transforming the company into a transnational conglomerate. So that is the end of an era. GP Hinduja passing away in London. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC-TV18. Stay tuned. We're back in a minute with more.